The painful threshold. Painful threshold. Painful threshold. Painful threshold. Painful threshold. Painful threshold. Painful threshold.
Hi, this is The Painful Threshold. I am your host, Matt Healy from KittyCeases.com, and with me here are the panel. We've got Nick Dector. Say hi, Nick.
Hi.
And say who you are.
I play poker for a living, and I do stand-up comedy for fun.
And we've got Troy Nelson.
What's up?
Who are you, Troy Nelson?
What am I? I wish I played poker for a living. I am a DJ at 90.3 KEXP in Seattle, and also part of the comedy duo Black Daisy, and also part of the musical group The Young Evils.
And we'll be hearing a cut from The Young Evils later in the show, too, so stay tuned for that one. And also, we have Jenny Byfield.
Hi.
Who are you, Jenny?
Oh, that's such an existential question. I'm a nurse. I do other things also.
Since this is the first episode of The Painful Threshold, I'll give kind of a little bit of a rundown. The Painful Threshold is a panel show, sort of like the ones that they have in the UK, which is why Jenny's here as a real live British person to keep us honest. And the hook of the panel show, because all panel shows have to have a hook, is that the questions are submitted by people who go to the official Painful Threshold Tumblr site, which is just painfulthreshold.com. And they submit questions to the ask box. Then once I get a pile of questions, I get some folks together and I ask them what you want to know. So, and then I give out points basically arbitrarily. And then after the arbitrary points are given out for all of the questions, the winner gets to choose something that will be chosen for them from the rotating prize wheel-o-rama.
Is it gonna be like a free massage from you?
You know what? If I'll say if just for this show, because it is the first one, you not only get whatever the rotating prize turns out to be, which we'll find out at the other show, but also a free massage from me.
Perfect. Let's do it.
That isn't fair. You don't have long enough arms for this.
I'll do it through Skype. I'll jam my arms through the microphone. Okay, we should get started, I suppose. So this one comes from Anon, like most of these. Someone submitted it, but they were too wussy to leave their name or Tumblr address. So
I thought Anonymous was working to overthrow the government, but here they are just asking us questions.
Anonymous has many, tentacles. Some of them are, bringing down Scientology. Some of them are, bringing down the government. Some of them are asking questions to a podcast.
So this is from an anonymous donor.
Yes, an anonymous question donor. They went to the question clinic, and with the magazines that they provided, they gave us this question. And our first question from Anonymous at the question clinic is, do you like pigs?
I love that the very debut episode of this podcast, and the very first question is, do you like pigs?
Yeah, I think that, it's a question that we need to know. So
I think we should examine who is asking this question and why they're asking it.
Unfortunately, I don't know. All I know is that Anon submitted, do you like pigs?
Is this like an animal rights trap? We were going to say we like bacon and then we're in trouble.
I feel like this podcast is in the pocket of the pig lobby.
Yeah. Next question. What do you do with dogs?
For this episode, there are no questions about dogs.
Wait, maybe they mean pigs as in police. Maybe Anonymous is like...
Yeah, I'm assuming if they mean police, that is a whole nother thing. Because then my answer would be terrified of pigs.
Okay, so I guess what we can do is we can answer, pigs as pigs and then pigs as police. So that way we're covered, and hopefully the anonymous question asker will be satisfied, with either. With either. That way we won't just assume and assume wrongly and get a nasty note later from the Anon. So do you like pigs as pigs and pigs as police, I suppose?
Jenny, do you like pigs?
I like the idea of pigs. I like when you see them on TV and they're all little and clean and they seem to like be bouncy and happy, but then you go to a farm or you go to a zoo and then you just see this big, massive, dirty pig lying there. It's always invariably lying down with massive teeth that look like it could rip your entire arm off. I like the little pigs that you get on TV.
Mm-hmm.
I do not like the massive pigs that exist in reality. Those
That's a good
are
answer.
terrifying.
Okay, so what do you think about Pigs the Animal then?
I have many. I've known people who are in the police and sort of been from a similar sort of public service sector. I have a lot of sympathy there, actually. I think a lot of the sort of fuck the police stuff that comes on is sort of out of line, actually. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think more so in America than probably in Britain, you get the sort of dodgy police people going around and taking advantage. But sort of like, I've had nights out where a policeman has lent me their helmet and I haven't even had to steal it in a very Bertie Wooster-ish kind of way.
Yeah, I have a feeling the police over there are much nicer. I never see a YouTube video of a British police officer beating the shit out of somebody. It's just more rare.
Yeah, and
Well, when they do it, they play the Benny Hill theme, so it's more fun.
Yeah, they make it.
no, I think people over here tend to also have sort of more respect for the police almost. I mean, I've had one of my friends who's a police lady. She was at the forefront of a riot. And, like, they link arms and everything to stop people from getting through, and she fell over. And, of course, like, what you expect to do is for everybody to rush forward. And all the people who were rioting took a massive step backwards and went, the lady police officer's fallen over, help her! And everybody just rushed to help her up, and it was the most British story I've ever heard in my life. We're rioting! Oh, no, wait, somebody's been hurt. All go home. We're very apologetic. We'll write you a letter.
Nick, what do you think about pigs?
I guess I like pigs. Some of them are very smart, and they are like people. And also police. Some of them are very smart and like people. So, yes. And I like to eat them, not the police.
I don't know. Have you seen some policemen in uniform? I won't mind eating them.
I think potbelly pigs are like the cutest thing ever, and I don't know, I actually think even the big fat pigs, I mean, yeah, they can be pretty dirty and big and fat. I think that they're kind of cute. I think that the police thing, I grew up in a small town. And so all they had to do was there was no murder or robbery where I grew up. It was just kids underage drinking. So it's scary. I mean, that's all they're looking for. So to this day, anytime there's a cop behind me, even if I'm stone sober and I'm doing nothing wrong, I get extremely nervous. And also from, seeing all the YouTube videos of them tasering people or mistaken. I always think I'm going to be that guy that gets mistaken for something. Like, they pull me over and I'm going for, like, my wallet, and I accidentally pull out, like, a chocolate bar that's in a foil wrapper, and they think it's a gun, and then they shoot me. I always think that's going to happen to me.
Chocolate kills.
That's my motto. So I'd say that the consensus, it sounds like, as far as the animal, we all like pigs.
Yeah, I think this has turned out to be a pro pig.
But I like eating them too, so like I want them murdered for my delicious amusement.
Well, can we then agree that we keep the pretty little pigs on TV, and then we can have bacon from the big horrible ones that look like they could kill you?
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've talked about pigs enough. So this one, we actually have a name attached to the question.
Mm-hmm.
So Thomas Ferranti asks, when does a guilty pleasure turn bad? Or if it has merits, where do you draw the line as to whether or not it's a guilty pleasure or not?
Thomas Ferranti should have told us which guilty pleasure he was asking about. Because he clearly has something in mind that he's been doing.
Because a guilty pleasure, I mean, some people feel guilty about masturbating.
Yeah. Well, again, though, I'm thinking of a pop culture thing, and I don't think that like Masturbation is like released a top 40 singles. I mean, there was She Bop from 30 years ago. So
Was that about masturbating?
Oh yeah, that was
The
totally
Cyndi
about
Lauper song, She Bop, Hey Bop.
Every
Beep
song
bop,
from
beep
the
bop,
80s
a
was
loop
about
bop.
masturbating, except for the Safety Dance, which is about nuclear proliferation.
The Safety Dance could be about masturbation because we could dance if we want to, or we could leave. Isn't there the lyrics? I actually, if you think about any lyric or analyze any lyric of any song, it could be about masturbation. I just died in your arms tonight.
That actually is about sex.
What about like Candle in the Wind?
Yeah, see.
You lived your life like a candle in the wind.
Yeah, that's not about masturbation.
It does to me.
Never
If
fake
you're using
in
a
the
candle to
sunset.
masturbate, you're not doing it in the wind.
I guess maybe that's like the the Jim Croce song was about it's saying you don't spit wink
In the
wink,
wind.
into
Right,
the wind.
exactly. Or his more obvious lyric, if I could save time in a butthole. Isn't that what he says?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's amazing what got on the air back in the 70s.
I can't believe it.
No,
It's like the Monty Python song. You can't say bleep on the radio.
Okay, we're going to answer the question. When does a guilty pleasure turn bad? The answer is when it ruins the rest of your life.
okay.
That's the answer.
The older I get, the more I realize that there is no such thing as a guilty pleasure. I mean, when it comes to, if we're talking pop culture, music, movies, because I said it for a long time, like, I'd hide certain bands that I'd listen to. I wouldn't show my friends. I secretly listened to Def Leppard for like 20 years. And to the point where I was like marveling over the production on Hysteria and like putting headphones on. But then I'd show my friends and be like, dude, you're listening to that fucking album? Pour some sugar on me? Who cares? But then I realized if I've been listening to it this long, I might as well embrace the fact that I love this band. So I bought, t-shirts and I've announced to the world my love of Def Leppard. The Young Evils actually recorded a Def Leppard song, and the last record we recorded last year in LA, Phil Collin from Def Leppard actually plays on one of our songs.
Okay, so here's your answer. This is where it's turned bad. He's gone too far into Def Leppard, and it's ruining his life. So don't go that far, and just find that healthy balance.
To be honest, I completely agree with the sort of as I've got older, I've sort of worried less about having guilty pleasures. It's like the Fox song by Elvis.
What's the Fox say?
Yeah, like 10 years ago, or even more recently, I would have been so ashamed of loving that song. And now I have friends that will refuse to open YouTube links from me because I send it them daily.
It's an incredible song.
It is the most amazing song.
It really is. I like all those internet songs, like Gangnam Style and all that. I love that.
My mother-in-law, because I kept playing that song, really thought that I genuinely loved foxes, and for Christmas bought me a scarf and handbag with foxes on them.
Okay,
That's
once
good.
again, here's an example of a guilty pleasure ruining your life.
Okay, so here's the next one. Okay, this is from Anon. Can you think of any great band names that are shitty bands, or vice versa, like great bands with terrible names?
For me, the one that always stuck out was the Beatles. That is a great band with a crap name.
God, it's so hard because since they're the Beatles, I have a hard time separating their name from their music. Like, I can't think of that name as being bad because it's them. But that's
But
interesting.
it's a really rubbish pun that one man in 1963 laughed at, and we all just accept it because it's the Beatles.
Yes, it's not the worst. I mean, if they would have been called like the Flip-Flops, that would not be cool. There's no way. Or would it?
Yeah, what would we now have? In that alternate universe where that's the only thing that's different. I mean, would Jenny be saying, well, obviously, the great band with a terrible name is the Flip-Flops.
I can answer that for you, Matt, and the answer is yes. I would be saying that the Flip-Flops it's a terrible band name, but I think it's because there was a few bands around that time that sort of had insect names. And you can see their sort of train of thinking where like, oh yeah, we can call ourselves the Beatles, but we play beat. Why don't we call it the Beatles?
It's like every band name is kind of awful, fundamentally. Like, we fill in it being acceptable. Like this, like all the 90s bands, like Stone Temple Pilots and Mother Love Bone, and like these are all ridiculous strings of words.
Yeah.
And then we like the band and it makes it okay. Like there's no...
Exactly.
All band names are ridiculous.
It's hard for me to think of a band that I think is amazing and then hate their name, because I will, in my head, make their name cool just because I love their band without realizing their band name sucks.
Right.
It's weird. So I could probably find more awesome band names for a shitty band rather than shitty band name, awesome band.
So let's hear some bands that have great names.
But they're shitty.
I can't say whether this band is shitty or not because I never actually heard them play, but in my local pub, I noticed once that about a week after my visit, there was a band playing called 40 Dead Camels. And I thought that was a fantastic band name.
Is that a reference to something?
I have no idea, and you know what? I don't want to know.
Okay.
All I want to know is that there is a band out there called 40 Dead Camels.
That's a pretty good name.
I really like a blues band called Agnostic Mountain Gospel Choir.
That's not bad.
No, I think it's a great name.
Good band with a good name. I mean, that's sort of, you know.
I mean, the only one that springs to my mind that is a good band with a crap name is Frog Stupid.
What are they called?
Frog Stupid.
Fuck stupid?
Frog.
Oh.
I thought it was Fuck Stupid as well.
Fuck stupid. I actually like fuck.
That would be a great name.
I love fuck stupid. I guess, you know what? I mean, a band I like, I'm not going to say they're universally loved or even known. They're not that popular. But a band that I like, I don't like their band name, is Grandaddy. It's such a bad name.
Yeah.
So there's one.
It's not so much a shitty band name as just an awkward band name as the Presidents of the United States of America. Because you introduce them, you go, oh yeah, I really like the Presidents of the United States of America. And then you have to go on to specify whether you like Barack Obama or this band that nobody's heard of over here. And it's a really long name as well.
Yeah, I could be like, you could get someone to be like, even Rutherford B. Hayes. Do you like all of the presidents of the United States of America?
Only thing that comes to mind, I just can't stop thinking about band names that are just so awful, and then the band's not necessarily good. If the question was just what are the worst band names of all time, I mean, that I could rattle off. You know, I've got those just right at the tip.
Rattle.
Hot Tuna.
Ooh.
Horrible band name. Hoobastank.
Oh.
All I can think of is shitty band names. There's a band called Bowling for Soup.
Ooh.
I mean, it's just it's so bad it perplexes me.
For me, like one of my favorite band names that I've just never been able to get into the band, and I've given them so many tries because it's such a great name, is And You Will Know Us by the Trail of Death.
It's a great name.
You don't feel like that's unwieldy?
It's unwieldy, but it's very evocative. I don't know. There's something to And You Shall Know Us by the Trail of Death, especially with the opening ellipsis, you know. It works for me, except that I just don't like the records.
But it's better than, like, the 90s you had your Stone Temple Pilots and Mother Love Bone, like he was saying, like just three words, like kind of strung together. But then there was a ton of bands that just had one word, you know, like Helmet or Tool. And that never works.
I think it worked out pretty well for Tool.
Okay, yes, they were very successful. It never works in my head like on a cool factor, but you know, as if my opinion mattered, they are multi-millionaires.
I think Nick's got a good point though. I think that there is a desire to have like a really good punchy band name, but those are like the hardest to.
It just it's like it just has a little too much bro in it for me. Oh, you want to talk about guilty pleasure? That's one of mine. I listen to their records. They too. I put headphones on. I'm just like, how did human beings make this? But I wouldn't go show my friends, or I wouldn't play it on KEXP or something. There's a band out there called Oops, I Stepped in Some Christ. I'm not kidding.
With the Painful Threshold, not only do we get questions from our blog, but every once in a while we go to other blogs and steal one of their questions. So this is asked by Anonymous to the Tumblr the-patriarchy, P-I-E triarchy, like patriarchy only pi. But the Anon question for this one is, who is Steve Buscemi from your point of view? And the patriarchy's answer, the original post will be linked and reblogged on the Painful Thresholds Tumblr. But their answer was a JPEG of Steve Buscemi's head in a circular rainbow in the sky. So I think they're kind of implying that Steve Buscemi is God here.
Well, I can tell you just from a personal point of view, my very, very, very first introduction to Steve Buscemi was him in, was it Billy Madison, where he puts on the lipstick and he wants to kill a bunch of people, like he has a list on his wall. Was that Billy Madison?
Yeah, that was Billy Madison.
Yeah, so that was my first, and he was super creepy. He was like, he just made a cameo, but I didn't know him at the time, and Billy Madison like called and apologized for bullying him when he was a kid, and then he hung up the phone and he crossed him off his list of people to kill, and then he put on lipstick all creepy. So then the next time I saw Steve Buscemi, I saw Con Air. He was creepy in that too. Like there's a scene where he's like having tea with a little girl and she's playing with her dolls or something. So I just thought he was like this sex offender, creepy weirdo guy, like in my head. I was young. So that stays with me when I see his face because because of some characters he portrayed when I first saw him. But now, I'm older and wiser. I think he's a genius. But there's always 10% of me that thinks he might be creepy.
I'm actually ashamed to say that I had no idea who Steve Buscemi was. I had to Google him very, very quickly on my phone. And now I'm currently looking at Chicks with Steve Buscemi's Eyes.tumblr.com. And there is a very beautiful Photoshop of Kate Middleton with Steve Buscemi's eyes. And I'm enjoying it very, very much. But he has the same eyes as Gollum.
He does.
Steve Buscemi is the world's most three-dimensional rodent. Nobody seems to be on board with this.
No, I actually find that really funny.
Okay, thank you. Traditionally, people laugh when they find things funny, but that's good. This works too. Next question.
Okay, this is also from Anonymous, and I like the way that this is phrased. What have you found in your nightmares?
Mostly just me naked and failing at things. And then I wake up and I'm naked and I'm failing at sleeping. So they're pretty accurate.
The only nightmare that I have ever properly had was I was sat in my front room hiding because there'd been a dinosaur invasion. And a Tyrannosaurus Rex smashed his face through my balcony and looked at me and told me to show him the way to Yorkshire.
So he didn't even want to bother with, eating you or...
No, he just wanted directions.
Did you tell him where Yorkshire was or how to get there?
Well, the thing is, he didn't say tell me the way to Yorkshire. He said show me the way to Yorkshire. He wanted me to ride him to Yorkshire.
I don't know if this is a nightmare.
It was a nightmare because I woke up very, very frightened of the T-Rex. I laugh about it now.
But the T-Rex sounds like a friendly guy. I mean...
The T-Rex is one of those nice guys. That's the thing that had me, sat bolt right up in bed screaming. I friend-zoned him by waking up.
The MRA T-Rex. Okay, here's the next question, which the anonymous question asker decided to put in all caps, so I'm going to shout it. Who is your favorite Beatle?
I know the answer to this one.
Who is your favorite Beatle?
My favorite Beatle is Ringo Starr for his very strong acting on the show with the monstrous living trains.
Oh, when he was on Shining Time Station.
Yes. He was on it, and it was horrifying, and he was very good.
Those trains are fucking creepy.
Yeah, I agree.
They are not.
They are.
Yeah.
All they do is...
They are not. They are adorable. There are so many creepy things about... No, the thing with Thomas the Tank Engine, they have the same plot day after day after day. And yes, it's a kids' TV show, but there's only so many times that the trains can crash.
I don't know, man. There's some, really dark ones where it's where all of a sudden, Thomas will be, hella racist against, the diesel engines, and, everyone talks about how shitty diesel is, and it's all like, oh, fuck you, diesel, you're a train that is different than us. This is a good message to be teaching the children.
Wow, that was an uncanny impression.
Think of how scary it's going to be when one of these racist monster trains decides to, go on a rampage.
Yeah, I mean, wait until Thomas realizes that, like, Sir Topham Hatt looks different, too.
That makes me really cross, you know, that he used to be called the Fat Controller. He's the Fat Controller. He's not Mr. Topham Hatt.
I think that's what they changed it to in the US runs or something.
Yeah, I think just British children are more resilient.
Jenny, you're British. Who's your favorite Beatle?
I struggle. John Lennon wrote better songs. I prefer his songs, but he was a little bit of a dick. So I probably would say George Harrison, just because he seems like a nicer person, and he's the lead guitarist. That is my answer.
Okay. Troy?
I definitely relate more to John Lennon. I think he speaks to me more, but I wish I had the bass chops and the pop sensibility of Mr. McCartney.
Now we're having a music break. As promised earlier in the show, we're going to hear a cut from the Young Evils. So, Troy, why don't you set this one up?
Is it Darker Blue by You? Is that what you're playing? It was from our EP from a year and a half ago. I think we put it out. We're about ready to release a new one. But that was from a recording session in Seattle. We did 4 songs with the producer Shane Stoneback. Shane produced all the Sleigh Bells records and also the first 2 Vampire Weekend records. And he also produced the band Cults. And he's worked on a bunch of stuff that I love and that we love. And so we flew him in from New York, and he produced 4 songs of ours. And Darker Blue by You was just a song that I was, of all places, I was in a shopping mall, and I was in one of those obnoxious stores that blast music. I think I was waiting for my girlfriend, well, now my fiance, to do whatever it is she does that takes an hour and a half. And I think it was it was like Forever 21 or H&M or something. And I heard this song come on. It had this drum beat, just this boom, boom, ka, boom, 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 ka. And then it had this like super poppy, catchy, all that horrible shit that plays in those stores. And I had this dream of writing a song that is similar to that kind of music, but write it with really dark lyrics about the apocalypse, the end of the world, and only like 10 people survive, and they just decide to fucking party and have fun. So it's not a blue bayou, but it's a darker blue bayou that they all party around and buy. It's a post-apocalyptic tale.
welcome back. That was Darker Blue Bayou by the Young Evils from their EP Foreign Spells, and we are back. Thank you, Troy, for letting us play that awesome record. Okay, let's get back to the questions after. I think we're all properly rested after that music break. You know, nice little reprieve from Anonymous Question Asker's Kingdom of Terror. We have one here that the next question is, are you in any fandoms? ? If so, comma, why? ?
Well, my Tumblr blog is a Supernatural blog. So, yes, I am in the Supernatural fandom. I always recommend everybody to watch Supernatural, and one of the best reactions that I've ever got from recommending somebody is, don't watch it, it's rubbish. The only reason women watch it is because they want to get finger banged by the main three.
I haven't heard finger bang in a while. That's great.
I haven't either. It was old school.
Because when you're in high school, like, that's all, like, we would do. You know, before you banged, you know, when you're in high school, you start with the finger bang. I mean, I know Nick and Matt have no idea what I'm talking about. Jenny, like, when kids, like, when you're at it, like, 14, 15, 13 even sometimes, and, like, two people start making out at a party, or, you know, you start people are dry humping. When you do get down the pants, it's a finger bang. Oh, shit. I forgot the question.
Are you in any fandoms?
I collect retro video games and video game systems, like, you know, Super Nintendo, Atari, the original NES. I'm just looking what I have. Panasonic 3DO from 1996. I just have a whole slew of them, and then I have them all on a switcher. You can buy, like, I'll plug them in at the same time, and then you can just hit the switch, and it'll go to that system. I'm a big fan of retro video games, and I'm a big fan. Cool. I collect Garbage Pail Kids. Did you guys all just lose your boner just because I said that?
Nick, are you in any or?
Yeah, fandoms. I'm not in any fandoms. I didn't really have too much to.
You love cards, dude. You love cards.
To me, fandoms are social. So
you're a huge fan but you're a fan of poker.
Yeah, but I'm not in a fandom for poker.
You're not writing /fic.
No, and neither am I for the things that I'm interested in. I'm just thinking, like, what do I love the most, like, that I'm a fan of, and it would be music, video games, and, you know.
But those, you don't organize socially around that. Like, you don't, or you do probably for music.
Like, that's what I think that is. I'm not part of any club or any fan club either. I'm just saying, like, what are you a fan? Like, you're a fan of comedy, and
yeah, and Ringo Starr's acting, yeah,
and Ringo Starr's acting in the train shit that you were talking about. I think that that is what they're asking. Like, what are you an uber fan of? I mean, I think even though it's what we do for a living, like music is what I do for a living, like DJ and play music. That I'm such a fan of it that it's become my life.
I think actually performing stand-up comedy has made it harder for me to watch it now.
Well, that's because you know all the little tricks.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
You know, and so now you see, like, some comedians that are revered, you're like, oh man, that was a total segue, or you totally catch on to their little things that they do to go to.
Right. It's like if you're a musician and you realize that your favorite band is only playing 3 chords.
Well, it's kind of like when Andy Kaufman finally became like Andy Kaufman used to be in his bedroom just performing, you know, in front of the mirror or tape record himself, and then when he actually got on a TV show and started to have some success, he was on a show that had the little puppet, and he was so disappointed to see the person running the puppet and pulling the strings that it ruined Hollywood and acting and everything for him, because he believed in the puppet. He didn't believe in the people that were making it happen, because it makes
Okay, well, let's differentiate, because I'm not insane and I don't know how puppets work, so I'm not Andy Kaufman. But yeah, I agree that, yeah, you learn the small subtleties of it.
You have to be a little bit insane to do what you do.
No, you just have to be a little needy. I just want the attention so much.
I actually commend you, because it's a ballsy choice to not only do stand-up comedy, but to really play poker and, like, do it as a source of income, because it's a huge step. You don't just automatically just decide that. It's a gradual thing. You start to get really good at something, and you're like, can I do this? And quitting a job, like day job, that's a scary thing to be like, I'm gonna let it all the answers fall
with the cards. That's a ballsy decision. I commend you for that. I also am a huge poker fan and have been playing poker a long time. And I actually contemplated it in like 2008, 2007, 2008. If I could do that like as a source of income, and I chickened out. So I commend you.
Oh, thank you.
And I respect anyone that makes a huge ballsy decision. And that's a ballsy decision. So is getting up in front of people and trying to make them laugh. It's fucking scary. That's why the only comedy that I do is video stuff.
Right.
So I just can't handle that. I wouldn't be able to handle that kind of rejection. Now I know that I'm on the radio, but I'm behind a microphone and I don't see anybody.
Right. You don't get the feedback. And the thing that's super scary about starting stand-up is that you have to get up and do it for the first time when you're not funny. Everybody sucks when they start, so...
Yep. And how you get through that, I do not know.
It's just a horrible yawning need. Just... Who's
the biggest comedian you've ever opened up for?
I've opened up for Baron Vaughn. I've opened up for Rory Scovel. I opened up for Rory Scovel a month or two ago.
Oh, I love Rory.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's one of my favorites.
And oddly enough, the comedy duo that I'm in, Black Daisy, we got to open up for the presidents of the United States of America.
How about that?
No. So that ties into what we were talking about earlier.
I opened up for T-Pain.
That's amazing. We played a comedy show with the Humpty Hump.
There you go. Digital Underground. Awesome.
Yeah, he does comedy too, apparently.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, we did a show with him. It was weird. Oh, wait, when I say did a show, they screen our videos at the venue, and we just get up and talk about them a little bit. So that absolutely has nothing to do with anything that was asked.
Well, let's go to the next question then. And normally in this show, this would be the place where I would read the question from the last show that got the most likes and reblogs and everything from the Tumblr. But since this is the very first episode, we don't actually have one. So in the meantime, I would like to urge everyone listening to this to go to the Painful Threshold Tumblr, which is, again, painfulthreshold.com. Go and give a like or reblog your favorite question that was asked on this episode. And basically, the one that ends up with the most notes will be read also on the next show that we do with a whole different panel, and we'll get to find out how that one works for them. So, but since we don't have another show, we just have a normal question again from Anon, because that's the way of the world. If you could name a baby anything in the world without reprisal, what would you name it? And then there's a parenthetical note. Also, this baby is awful. It totally sucks.
What kind of reprisal could a baby have anyway? It's just a baby.
Well, no, I figure, from other people who are going like, you shouldn't have named your baby meat or whatever.
Well, I have an actual real baby, although she isn't awful and she doesn't suck. She's awesome.
What did you name her?
We named her Eleanor because she was this tiny, cute, little, fluffy, little, adorable thing. It seemed like Eleanor was a really long name for such a tiny baby, so we started nicknaming her Nora. And people's reactions to the nickname Nora was really visceral. People either were like, "This is the most adorable name for a child," or "How can you name her Nora? It sounds like a 90-year-old woman." It was nowhere in between. People either really liked that we nicknamed her Nora and thought it was sort of a little bit quirky, a little bit cute, or was absolutely horrified by the thought of her being nicknamed Nora.
It seems like these people don't have much going on in their life.
Yeah. Like Anon. I think that Eleanor is cute. It's a cute name. Do you just have one kid?
Yeah.
How old is she now?
She is 9 months now.
Oh, you have a baby.
I have a baby.
Oh, cute. I was looking at, this is a true story, and it comes from Sydney, Australia. And in 2008, and I'm reading the headline, parents lose custody of girl for naming her Tallulah Does the Hula from Hawaii.
I think that is a great name. That is what my second daughter will be named.
That's her full name. Tallulah Does the Hula from Hawaii. And then, would that be funny if her last name was Anderson?
I would name a baby September 11th was an inside job. .org.
Oh my god! Let's just come up with like the most offensive baby names of all time. Jack the Ripper was not that bad.
I still think Nora is more offensive than both of those, given some of my friends' reactions to it.
You really think that Nora, even based on the reactions, is up there with 9/11 was an insidejob.org?
Based on my friends' reactions, I am saying yes.
To test out, you should have another child and name the child 9/11 was an insidejob.org Byfield.
I will.
My mom has a friend who my mom's friends with her and her family and stuff. And when I was born, my mom's friend was so perplexed that she named me Troy. She thought Troy was the weirdest name. And so she told my mom's told me the story many times. And, cause I think she forgets that she told me 100 times, but this lady said to her, I cannot believe that you named him Troy. That is the strangest name. And my mom said to her, she goes, you named your kid Tunis. And it's true. This lady has a son named Tunis. That's a fucked up name. Tunis. I mean, how could she think Troy is weird compared to that?
I mean, even it even has like the place name thing going on. Because, Troy, you have Helen of Troy, and then you have Tunisia.
That is wild that you thought of that in your head.
I don't know. I think I just played way too much Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego as a kid.
I think that somebody's going to start, like somebody soon is going to name their kid. It's just going to be an emoticon.
Well, they've started going back to band names. That's one of the things that I don't like about band names is when you get explanation points like Panic at the Disco.
Or Chick Chick Chick, where it's just all punctuation.
It's all exclamation. It's 3 exclamation points.
This is the final question of the day, and I think it's a wonderful question to end on. From Anonymous, have you ever pooped on a baby?
I pooped on myself whilst I was a baby. So I pooped on a baby.
Also, another great name. I pooped on a baby. Yep. Have I ever pooped on a baby?
I think we might want to expand this one to just like the strangest place you've pooped, because I think baby pooping is awfully specific.
I do have the most fantastic story about Nora pooping. Probably like 2 days post-birth, so I was sort of like reclining on the sofa trying not to leak from every orifice I own. My husband was in her bedroom changing a nappy, and I just heard, oh God, no. And so I sort of like lever myself off the sofa and go and check. And he's like, when you change a baby nappy, you lift their legs right up so like you can get and like clean them and everything. And whilst he had done that, she had farted and sprayed like chicken korma coloured poo up the wall and on the ceiling with the force of her fart.
Congratulations, you just stopped me from being a parent for another 5 years.
She also poops in the bath on a regular basis. We have like a little pet shop fishnet for that now. But like sort of the strangest place that I have ever pooped has been on the Masai Mara in Kenya.
That's like an epic poop.
It was extremely... I also went on a hot air balloon whilst I was there, but unfortunately I didn't poop out of the balloon.
That would have been amazing too.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And if you did, what if it landed on a baby? So when I was 7 or 8 or 9, 10, 11, 12, actually I wanted to be a magician for a long time. And I was very serious. I ordered shit out of when they used, this kind of dates me too, but out of a catalog, and then you order it. People, but pre-internet. And so I'd order magic tricks. And I thought I made up a trick where I put a quarter, or actually it was a nickel, under my tongue. And I would say, hey, watch, I'm going to eat a nickel. And I'd put it under my tongue and hide it. And then I'd pretend I swallowed it. And then I'd open my mouth and, hey, it's gone. But it's really hiding under my tongue. And I was 7 or 8, 9, I don't know. I was a kid. And I showed my mom. And I was like, hey, check this out. And I put the nickel in my mouth. And I accidentally swallowed it for real. And so I got really scared. And I was like, oh. And my mom was like, uh-oh. And she kind of was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I swallowed it. And that, which was ironic because that's supposed to be the trick. But I asked her if I was going to be okay. And she said, oh, it'll come out in your poop. So the next poop that I had taken, I wanted to see if the nickel had come out in the poop, in the turd. So I grabbed a bunch of toilet paper in my hand, and I grabbed the poop out of the toilet, and I put it in the sink, and then I took a plastic knife, and I dissected my own poop.
Congratulations! Another 3 years before I'm going to become a parent. It's up to 6 now.
That's 8 now.
8, that's right.
So I did not find the nickel was not in there. But the whole time, it's funny, the whole time I was dissecting this poop, I had my shirt over my nose and I was almost throwing up about every 5 seconds. And then I had to clean it out of the sink, and I never did find the nickel.
You know what? I am such a nurse because I was just listening to that going, I've done worse.
That's funny. My mom's a nurse too, by the way.
Awesome.
It's also going to be an extra 3 years before I become a nurse.
I remember hearing a poop story, and I can't remember where I placed this, whether it's like an actual friend who told me or whether I've read it on the internet or whatever. But I've read this story about a woman who went to like a house party, and she went upstairs, went for a poop in the toilet, and found that the toilet wouldn't flush. So her reaction to this was to gather the poop in tissue paper and throw it out the window. And then she went back downstairs, into the kitchen, out into the conservatory, where her poo was slowly sliding down the ceiling of the glass conservatory.
That's amazing.
Thereupon it landed on a baby.
When I was in gym class in 7th or 8th grade, I wanted to, you would go up to your friends and you'd, fart and make them laugh. And I pushed really hard and I felt a tiny little rabbit turd come out. And I'm in gym class in school, and I pretended nothing happened. They heard the fart noise, and they're like, "Oh, get out of here!" But I was like, in my head, I'm like, "Oh shit, what do I do now?" And so I walked over to the teacher, and I was like, "Can I go in and use the bathroom?" And so I went into the bathroom, and I pulled down my pants, and sure enough, right in my underwear was a little round, like rabbit-looking turd that had come out when I did push the fart out, and I didn't know how to dispose of it. So as I'm sitting on the toilet and my underwear is like I'm stretching it, like it's on my knees, and I spread my knees apart and I create this like slingshot with my underwear, and I grab the underside of my underwear and I pull down and I slingshotted the little rabbit turd out.
Okay, well, we've got the totals of this episode of The Painful Threshold, and the totals are 99 points for Jenny, Nick with 103, and Troy with 104, which means Troy...
Oh! I was wrong.
You guys, I just shit on a baby.
Well, you get an extra point for that, so now you're at 105.
I'd like to thank everybody that's been listening. I'd like to thank the judges. I'd love to thank my lovely fiance for the inspiration and providing me the baby that I just shit on.
Are we giving speeches? Follow me on Twitter at Nick Makes Jokes.
Where can we find you online, Troy?
I guess my Facebook apparently is DJ Troy Nelson, which that's cheesy. I wish I wouldn't have did that. I do have a Twitter. It's the Troy Nelson.
Okay. And we'll have those links in the show notes as well. So anyway, you get your prize, Troy, and your prize is to... I'm spinning the Lazy Susan of prizes. That's our official sound effect there. And it rings on PSA. You have to deliver a PSA to the listeners of the audience, like a safety tip, like at the end of Inspector Gadget or Sailor Moon or whatever. So what would you like to warn our listeners to take care about?
An on-the-spot PSA. If you ever get asked to do a podcast via Skype, be sure that you don't light your apartment nicely and find props and things that you may grab, not knowing that no video is involved, it's only audio, because the person running the podcast has not upgraded his Skype to video yet.
I suppose that's a good safety tip.
And on that note, guys...
On that note, thank you all, Nick Nectar, Troy Nelson, and Jenny Byfield, for being on the inaugural episode of The Painful Threshold. We'll hopefully be back with a whole bunch of other panelists who will not include Barack Obama, John Linnell, and Yoko Ono. Thank you very much. The Painful Threshold has been a production of Kitty Sneezes, Amalgamated Media Works, and Czech Fattery. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Is that?
KittySneezes.com in color.